Welcome to episode 31 of the Play Your Yards Right podcast. As always, I am Sasha here with my wonderful co-hosts Sarah and Mike. The fact that I'm here in between you guys. I'm feeling a little worried this week. It was a rough one for the podcast. I think a rough one for the NFC East all around. Actually, I think it was just kind of just taking L's, taking beatings
Yep.
from start to finish. So I guess we'll let you guys marinate a little bit. We'll leave the audience on their seats for a minute while I guess we dive into the Giants Saints game. I mean, did you guys even bother watching this one?
No. I had like a slight inkling going into this. I was like, maybe the Giants can pull this off. And then I just like kept tuning in a little bit and I was like, no,
No.
no. It's about time the slipper fell off fell off his
So yeah, I figure I want to let you guys know you guys can delete those apologies that I asked you to write last week. I asked you to start getting them going. I didn't need the apologies yet. I just wanted you to start, getting them in your drafts. So I would like to formally let you know you can delete those. I mean, you can save them for later if you want. I mean, I'm sure we'll continue doing this, and there'll be some other time where you're mean to me.
Mhm.
So you can kind of just get ahead on that. But right now, I don't think I'm going to be needing them because I guess it's basically good. I didn't set my expectations very high. This was painful to watch. It was kind of, I guess, what everybody expected, Tommy DeVito to be and what Tommy DeVito is. I think this is probably more who Tommy DeVito is, and I think the other games where he's winning is a little bit more of the outlier. Um, our defense was weird. Like that was kind of what I was resting my laurels on, being like, this is kind of where we're good, and if we can stick in these games, maybe Saquon and Dable and can figure something out on the offense, but we just left the whole middle of the field open. Gonna just kind of take a pot shot at you, Mike. It felt like we were playing the defense that the Bills play at the end of big games, where we're just like defending the sideline, and they could just basically do whatever they want in the middle of the field for the entire game. We didn't really make any changes. We weren't really getting any pressure on Derek Carr, which all I wanted to do was see Kayvon Thibodeau just like break Derek Carr's ribs, and I felt like he was just standing up and everything was fine the whole game. I mean, Kamara's really good. DeVito's crashing down to reality, and the only really question I'm left with is how you determine if Tommy DeVito is concussed or not, because it looked like he was knocked out for like a good 2 seconds and then just kind of hopped right back up. And he's got a brain full of cutlets and meatballs, and we're supposed to tell if that brain is functioning or not. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this team. I'm not excited anymore. Basically my only hope is like just to continue to like ruin the Eagles' hopes and dreams. Is there
Yeah.
is there any chance we can win one of these games?
I mean, with how the Eagles have looked the past 2 weeks, I would say it's not out of the cards. Like two times in the next short, just couple of weeks, it's not easy to do. Maybe like Tommy DeVito, I think you go with the fake out route. Like I don't think the first matchup you go for the win. I think the second time around, let you get your asses kicked the first game, kind of let the Eagles think the second one's a cakewalk, and then come in there, and crush them.
Right. When they really need it, like because
Yeah.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I feel like I don't know. I feel like the Cowboys will respond to this. I don't see them just rolling over and taking that loss, but I think that, I mean, obviously this is now a hell of an NFC East race to see who can win who can get the home field advantage. Because I think that is tremendously important. I mean, it's important to any team, but I think it's really important to these two teams. So I would love to see the Giants ruin it for the Eagles. I hate watching the Eagles. We can get to that a little bit after though, but that's kind of my hope now. But I also, I am now back at the point where it's like we just need to tank. Like winning
Mhm.
doesn't do anything for us. So it's like, do I want to ruin the Eagles' chance at the playoffs? Yeah. Do I want to like maybe not ruin a chance of like a really good draft pick? Yeah. But then I'm like,
Yeah.
having 5 or 6 wins, we're going to be in that, kind of early first half of the draft anyway. And like, it's like, it's a crapshoot anyway. Some of these, like all these best, like the Panthers had all, traded and did everything to try to get the first pick. And by all, from everything we're seeing, it seems like CJ Stroud is better anyway. So
Yeah.
it's all just a crapshoot. I don't trust anybody. I just want to see us look better than, scoring 6 points against the Saints.
Yeah. I hope it's a pride scenario where they go out and take one from the Eagles, a divisional opponent, to close out the season and make it feel like it wasn't just like a joke of a season that was kind of purposeless, but still maintain decent draft capital with just like one more win from here.
Right. So I'm hoping for that. Yeah, and then we have to I think the two against the Eagles and then one against the Rams. So not exactly the smoothest sleigh riding for the rest of the season, but what are you going to do? Speaking of bad teams, the Commanders I guess, lost to the Rams by 8. Thank God they got the cover for you.
Yeah. Well, that's Ron Rivera just not knowing football math.
Yeah, he's just bad, and I feel like he's just waiting to be fired. And I think that he stinks. I kind of expected this to be a little different. Like the Rams need this game. The Rams are very much in playoff contention. They're at home, and like the limping, shitty Commanders who end up, with Sam Howell didn't even finish the game, right? They just took him out.
Yeah, benched him for
Jacoby Brissett, and they still only won by 8. So it's like, I don't really trust that team, I guess. It's like, also the Commanders defense kind of stinks. And I would think that, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp could maybe do a little bit more, but whatever. They covered, they won by 8. That's all you see in the stat sheet. But yeah, I don't think anybody was really caring too much about this game at all outside of Rams fans, if Rams fans really even exist now that they left St. Louis.
I think Rams fans were watching Cowboys Bills here because that's what here. I mean, that's why I didn't watch a second of this game. I think the Commanders have packed it in. I've seen it multiple places. I think the sound part of my take, but it definitely feels like Ron Rivera was like just giving the friendly, like, hey, we'll part our ways at the end of this season. Just like don't mess up our draft capital from here. Like keep it as is, So he's just out. Ultimately, he's doing a good job if that's what it is, I guess.
Yeah. If Tankathon, he's nailing it. I just also Kyron Williams, 152 yards on 27 carries. That guy seems pretty legit. I mean, also Washington sold off their entire defensive line, so that probably helps the run game a little bit. But that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah. So I think that's about that game. Really not, really not much there.
Getting into what people tune in for, Cowboys Bills was hyped up to be the game, the crown jewel, if you will, the game of the week. Everybody was excited. It's cold. It's rainy. It's not really rainy to start. Then it gets rainy. Cowboys Bills in Buffalo.
It was the game of the week for me.
It was Mike was feeling it. Look, Sarah, I need to let you have your space. I need to let you talk about this. Got to get this off your chest to start.
So in my very tight race in my pick'em pool, which I'm in first, and I was up 1 on my nemesis, Miss Viggs. If you wasn't Miss Viggs, I'm coming for you, even though I'm already ahead of you, actually. But I was like, you know what? She was in my head. I was like, I think she's going to pick the Cowboys. So I took the Bills in this game, which put me in a very difficult scenario. But I talked about this was being a longtime Cowboys fan. Like, I have a pulse on this. This was not the best vibes game for them. Just the scenario, the cold weather, basically going into Buffalo for a playoff game in all regards for Buffalo, right? Like that's how much it meant to them. Like I said, the cold just coming off a big win. It just felt like a Cowboys loss. It just did. It just screamed it. We don't win 2 big games back to back. That's why we are wild card team as of late, because it requires 2 wins back to back. So I just wasn't feeling good about it. So then roll around to game time. I can see what Miss Viggs pick. She took the Cowboys. So now I'm like, so she did what I expected her to do, but now I'm like, this sucks because I took the Bills. I want to root for the Cowboys, but she would tie me up for the whole season, which is like a big lead that I've been having this whole time. So I felt terrible about it. But as soon as the game started, secretly, I'm like, my pick is locked in here because the Cowboys immediately first drive when the Bills just scored, Cowboys had no answers. I was like, this is going exactly how I expected it to as a Cowboys fan. I don't know. I see it. Maybe we need to be taken off this pedestal we were on because that is where the Cowboys thrive. They do not thrive when the media is hyping them up. They just, in the locker room, I don't know if it's Jerry Jones, like they do better as an underdog and at home, obviously. But I mean, we got to win some games on the road if you want to be a good team. So I'm not playing into that too much. It was really sloppy game. The penalties on the Cowboys end, impacted us huge and mostly in the first half because it was irrelevant in the second. And that's concerning to me because that's been a big issue for the past few years. Our biggest games against the Eagles, 49ers, playoff losses have all been when we're heavily penalized. The Cowboys are the most heavily penalized team in the NFL. And if that's the case, you're not going to be Super Bowl contenders because you can't just be giving up free yards, and extending drives like that. So that was super frustrating to watch. And Mike McCarthy was like in his peak, like Green Bay -20 outfit. And it was like 40-something degrees and balmy. He was not getting enough oxygen to his brain, clearly, because he just did not look well. He was not calling the good game.
Do you think they were giving him hot coffee on the side, or was that
it was hot chocolate because that's just him.
cream of mushroom
It's
soup.
a hot
Oh,
chocolate.
all right.
It's such
Okay.
He's like, bring me the hot cocoa on the sidelines, like thinking he's all like in a winter wonderland. And it's like, no, this is football. It's 40 degrees. It's raining. He just looks so misplaced out there. He like his brain was not operating. I mean, he didn't challenge that Diggs fumble, which was huge. I know it was on the other sideline, so hard to see, but someone has to be calling down to him. And I'm sure someone
He
did.
sold that. He sold that really nicely. He should get
did.
an Academy Award because
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
He
And then
did.
I looked back, I was like,
Oh
oh,
shit.
Very clear. But like obviously you know what happened. Someone's calling down to Mike McCarthy. He's choking on his hot chocolate and he's like trying to get it out to like
it's
qualify
broccoli cheddar soup.
Yeah.
Bills by then. And he's like, oh my God. And he's sweating in his overdressed outfit. You know that's exactly what happened. And that was a game changer. I mean, the Bills had a decent command at that point, but they went down and scored. I mean, I just felt like that could have been a huge momentum shift there among, other the Sam Williams penalty. It was just bad. And then the whole time, I guess I had a little bit of like, well, this helps me personally in my pool. So that helped a little bit because the loss would have hurt so much more if I gave up my spot as number one for a Cowboys loss like this. But yeah, super annoying. Josh Allen, I'm sorry, Mike, he didn't even play well, but he didn't have to
Didn't need to.
because Cook beat us single-handedly, which was so embarrassing. Like, so embarrassing. I'm worried about our defense. And then by the end, injuries were just piling up. Like Zach Martin going down, I declared it. I'm like, we should forfeit now. This is a bad 5 games. We're gonna lose. I want Zach Martin back. Like I would have forfeited at that point because it just hurt. Every injury after that was just like such an insult. I was like, okay, we really just got to pack it in. Like they should have taken Dak out of there well before they did, especially in those conditions.
Yeah, everything was super scary.
I feel like in Monsters Inc., like when the monsters have to like scare the kids and it like fills their tank, it's like the more you keep going, it's like I'm just filling up my quota of Bill's excitement right now. It's really good.
Well, I have more, but
Keep going. Keep going. I'm right here.
No, I mean, it was just a pathetic offensive performance. Dak was 21 for 34, 134 yards. Although Josh Allen, 7 for 17, 94 yards. Again, though, not Dalvin Cook. Cook just absolutely wrecked us. And he didn't even have to do anything, but Dak looked terrible. I mean, the pity touchdown at the end of the game. The only shining star from this game was Brandon Aubrey. Continues to be flawless with his field goal that he made in this game, an extra point in difficult conditions. So at least
He crushed it.
It was a great field
It
goal.
was as smooth as can be.
Beautiful field goal.
It was. So that's what I'm coming away with. Also, I'm telling myself that this fits the NFL script that they want the Bills in the playoffs. So
tinfoil hats, everybody.
this had to happen. And that's what I'm taking with me. I think we beat the Dolphins this week, though. I think we come back from it. And I know you want that as well. So the Cowboys helping you out 2 weeks in a row here, Mike. So you're welcome.
You guys are on the road, though. And that's apparently a pretty scary thing. The only 2 teams you've beaten on the road are the Panthers and the Giants.
Yeah.
I want to give a fun.
Those are both bad teams.
I got a fun nugget.
Oh, no, and the Chargers. I apologize. 3 games. And the Chargers.
Also bad team here. Acting like that was saving it there.
Do you want to know how many games in NFL history have been played with teams with 20 plus combined wins, but 1 or fewer wins versus teams above 500?
Yes.
This
Tell
will be
me.
the first one in NFL history.
Wow.
Cowboys, Dolphins.
The fraud off. That's what we're playing.
Yeah, the battle of the teams who have yet to beat any good teams.
So does that make the team who wins this a good team, or does that make the team who loses this a
If
good
the
team?
Cowboys win, it makes them a good team. If the Dolphins win, then they've just got 1 win against a good team.
Yeah. So, Mike, we got to let you have your moment.
Give me the microphone.
Yeah. Tell me how you're feeling.
Not since the days of Marshawn Lynch, LaShawn McCoy, may I even say Thurman Thomas, have we seen a rushing performance like we saw on Sunday.
Is there another guy you're missing?
Orenthal
Okay.
James Simpson,
Yeah.
possibly the greatest running back in Buffalo Bills history. If you had given me, I would have never, and I'm a gambling person, I would have never bet this type of an outcome for the game. I think James Cook is now starting to look like maybe the second best running back in the NFL besides Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, that's crazy to say, but
He's third in the NFL in all-purpose yards, behind only Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey. He's third in the NFL.
Where did that happen?
1,400 all-purpose yards. He's going to go over 1,000 yards rushing in this next game, barring injury.
Yeah.
He is over 400 yards receiving. My only negative for him is to stop doing those backflips going into the end zone, because I feel like he's going to come up limping after that.
He's got to land them better. If you're gonna do them, you
Yeah.
gotta land them where
Yeah.
people feel a little more confident that you're not gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah, I just walk it in, man. We're a team that is exploding from injuries every other game. I'd rather you not do a backflip, but he's young. Josh Allen, 7 for 19. A lot of drops. If you guys were watching, Dalton Kincaid, 2 drops. Stephon Diggs had a drop. I believe Gabe Davis should have caught that deep ball thrown to him, and he just didn't come back towards it, but whatever.
That was kind of crazy. It's just like he was underthrown. I'm like, he was supposedly staring at the ball. Why was he 5 yards
He
past?
did not come back. His brakes, he must not have gotten his brakes checked before that game. The only player in NFL history to have 3 consecutive 40 touchdown seasons is Josh Allen. And after this next game, he's going to have his 4th.
Okay.
So no one's ever had 3 40 touchdown seasons. He's about to have his 4th in a row. He's ran for a touchdown and threw a touchdown for the 10th game this season, which, if you were watching, that is the only time that's ever happened in NFL history.
Ooh.
So even in a game where he didn't have to do much, he still managed to break another NFL record. I think this is like he's guaranteeing himself, as long as his career plays out without a horrific injury, he's a Hall of Famer. If the Bills win out, like I was saying earlier, everything's on the table here. If the Bills turn around and beat the lowly Chargers and the clearly tanking Patriots, and then play Miami for the division, Josh Allen, if we win that game, and Josh Allen is the Dolphins' father, he's their daddy, how is he not the MVP of the league? I think it was like 3 out of the last 4 MVPs have led the NFL in touchdowns, and Josh Allen leads the NFL in touchdowns by, I believe, 4 right now.
I think even if he leads they have to win the division, even if they're in the playoffs. I think if he leads in touchdowns and doesn't win the division, I feel like they'll find a way to give it to somebody.
Yeah, but if they go 11-6 and the Dolphins somehow win out as well, I still think Josh Allen's in the conversation. And you got to understand, the Chargers in New England, Josh Allen might put up 6 to 8 touchdowns in the next 2 games. The Chargers gave up 63 points to Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm scared to see what Josh Allen's. I'm scared for them. I'm scared for Belichick. And then Miami, I mean, Josh Allen scores 5 touchdowns a game against Miami. You just said it and forget it. Defense played great. We are clearly filling holes. Terrell Dotson, who's replacing Matt Milano, who I was so afraid of. We were all Bills fans were. And if they act like they weren't, they're lying. He had a sack where it looked like Matt Milano. It looked like the ghost of Matt Milano had reincarnated in him. And it's funny because it was his first game on the sideline. Matt Milano's back with the team, no crutches, jumping up and down. So watch out for a Matt Milano comeback.
What was that injury officially?
I think it's a tibial fracture.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was
definitely not an ACL.
Yeah, I thought it was ligament.
Definitely not. And they've yet to rule him officially out for the year and have said it would be hard for him to get back. But the fact that they're not saying it means that I think it's going to be like it was with Micah Hyde last year, which is like, if we make a deep run, he might be ready to go. Daquan Jones is starting to practice, our defensive tackle, who was an all-pro before he tore his pec against Jacksonville. We are getting healthier. Khair Elam, who was our number 1 pick, who was a total bust, who didn't do anything in this game. But he had a torn ligament in his ankle that he didn't, like, they had just said it was a foot injury that now he says he's 100% healed from. Rasul Douglas looks like the greatest steal of a trade. I don't know, in any trade deadline, like it's up there with like the Rams getting Von Miller. Like if we turn around and win the Super Bowl, this Rasul Douglas trade, it is going to have a huge impact. He has got hands on the ball every game he's played so far. I don't know what else. I don't, like, we completed passes to 3 people.
That is
and we
crazy.
scored 31 points.
Yeah, I've
never seen anything like it. Our offensive line is out of control. Our offensive line is unbelievable. Like maybe the best in the league, right?
Played so great, and just I think it was the way that the running plays were set up. The way it just completely just took the Dallas defense out at the knees. They weren't able. Their press coverage from their cornerbacks, where they've been getting all those touchdowns and everything, didn't matter because
No.
they weren't passing the ball, and then the amount they were running it. Micah Parsons was just basically like, hey, you're really good at rushing the passer. And then when you get pressure on it, we're really good at intercepting the ball. And we're like, well, why don't we just run it up the middle? And then they're like, oh shit, we haven't really figured out how to do that part yet.
There was a
Yeah.
highlight of Deion Dawkins literally blocking one of the Cowboys linemen like 30 yards down the field, because as Cook's going in for the touchdown, you see Dawkins running him back and tackling him basically into the end zone.
Yeah.
Now the Cowboys, I'll give you this, they had that illness, and they definitely had the look of a team that like who had the stomach bug or something.
Yeah.
Like
They were
looked
flat.
like they didn't want to get hit. I was texting, I was like, this is going to be a battle. This is going to be a battle. And then by like the second quarter, I was like, the Cowboys they're not showing up. They're not here. Like, and that happens sometimes. And I guess an illness would make sense. They look slow. And I've always said the thing about them is how fast they look.
Yeah, no, they looked very flat. We were also missing Jonathan Hankins, defensive tackle, who's very strong against the run, and that hurts. He went out in the game against the Eagles, so I felt like early on I was like, oh my god, do we miss Hankins that much? But then it became just an everybody problem. It was not just him. I mean, your offensive line looked great, but yeah, I mean the illness, it's hard to say. But you could see it literally. The energy the Cowboys had was nowhere equivalent to what they showed against the Eagles the previous week, whether that's the illness coming down for the moment. It was loud as heck at this. You could hear the stadium.
Oh yeah.
It was just, I didn't hear one "here we go" from Dak the whole time. Normally
It
you're
was nice. It was nice to not hear it one game.
That air horn that they do on third down.
Yeah. The train was kind of drowning him out there.
Yeah, I mean, crazy environment from them.
The Bills played as good of a game as we needed to play. We've got 3 more wins. We got to go 1 week at a time. It was a great win. I don't think it means anything serious for Dallas unless they show up like this another week. Like what's going on with Philly right now, it's like they have a real problem. You can have a shitty stinker of a game. You just can't start to string them together, especially now. So go out there, kick the crap out of the Dolphins, please. And you guys are right back to where you started. Plus, I've got CeeDee Lamb in the playoffs, and I really need him to put up some points.
I know.
But it was a. I mean, if our offensive line and defensive line if this is what we're going to look like, I don't know. I feel really good. Vegas wants to give me money to cash out my Super Bowl bet already. I've already got Vegas scared.
They're horrified of it. They've been listening.
They know.
I guess
know what's coming.
So just a couple things from an outsider's perspective. One, I do think it's very funny that if everybody was sick and then Mike McCarthy is just like eating bisque on the sidelines, that's very funny. Just kind of like throwing it in their faces. And then as your resident Jew here, this was the first time this last week I saw the Tim Allen movie, The Santa Claus. And every time they kept showing Mike McCarthy, that was all I could think of is like, he's getting fatter every time I see him. And it's like, as he's just like, they come in, they're like, Mike, what play are we doing? He's like, have you guys heard about this new cookie recipe? Like, we're it's just like, Mike, we need answers now. What are we doing?
Seen the bread for my French onion soup?
Right, he just can't get anything but like Christmas cookies off of his mind. Is just turning into Santa Claus.
And I just want to tell you, since you are a resident Jew here, it's Claus, but it's not because it's Santa Claus. Just so you know, it's the Claus.
That was the only reason.
Okay, just make.
That's the only reson I watched that movie, because
I didn't need that. Spoiler alert.
I was like, there's a little lawyer business in there. All right. I was like, all right, yeah, now I'm interested. And then also Matt Milano's been getting a lot of praise recently because of this new Rashard Mendenhall all white team versus all black team debate. And everybody's talking like, well, like Matt Milano's starting at linebacker. Yeah, everybody's talking about starting for the all white guys. So he's been getting talked about a lot, which has been pretty funny. But yeah, I really, the game was a little bit less fun to watch. It was, very just dominant. They ran the clock. The game ended up going pretty fast because of all the running. And just as a Giants fan, it felt a little bit more comfortable watching Dak just be confused on the sidelines with that kind of dumbfounded 1,000-yard stare that I haven't really gotten to see him have all year. So I was like, all right, things are starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. This is an old pair of pants I still fit in.
I do think you guys are going to beat the Dolphins. I really do. I really do.
Any worry about being on the road?
Yes, but coming off getting their asses kicked, no. Like, I feel like that negates that, if that makes sense. like, gives them a little bit of an energy that they did not have this past week. I don't want to see CeeDee Lamb sitting there looking like he's going to cry again, because it makes me so sad when they cut to him when they're losing. And he's good for just that, like, dramatic kind of diva, kind of just like sad puppy look on the sideline. They wouldn't stop cutting to him in the third and fourth quarters. Like, I don't want to see that anymore. I like when they're having fun out there. And I feel like this is going to be the week for it, as long as they're able to get healthy, stay healthy.
Is a big time sad face guy. And then just the one more thing about, so let's take the team names out of it. The only reason I'd be a little bit scared if I were you, Mike, I think I'd mentioned this to you before. If we're not saying which team is which, your team, you just had a huge win. Vibes are high, pressure's high. And you're going up against a team that just got completely blown, like the doors blown off of them. They fired their coach, new coach coming in after they just got embarrassed. I think you got to make sure that people aren't overlooking this Chargers game, because this feels like exactly the kind of time where we would bet the underdog. Like, the Bills are going to be favored by, what is it, 12?
It's 10.5.
10.5. So honestly, maybe that's not as big as I thought it would be. But that feels like a huge,
There are idiots betting the Chargers, right?
That feels like a huge spread game that if it wasn't the Bills and Chargers, you'd be like, no, you got to look out for this team that just lost by like 40 points. They're coming off a Thursday night game, long, a little mini bye, if they will. New coach, a little bit of that, like, we got to play for our jobs. We got to play for this new coach vibes. So I think the Bills are obviously the better team, but this seems like a big, like, looking ahead spot where they end up getting caught a little bit.
Yeah.
Easton stick. I'm done. I'll leave that right there. Guys, we didn't even have to play our starters, and then we only had to play 3 quarters.
No, listen, I get it. I think they're a way better team. I just
We're
know
a team on a mission.
You're on a mission. You're on a mission from God.
We're not going to be Easton stick is not. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong. I mean, look, I've lost to Zach Wilson this year, but we're not losing to Easton stick. And that team was quitting on themselves, and they have no Joey Bosa. They have no offensive line. They have no. I think Keenan Allen got hurt, or did he even play in that game?
He didn't play in the last game.
Yeah, Austin Eckler looks like a
slow,
typical washed up running back. I'm sorry, we're gonna be all over. We're gonna be all over that guy, all over him.
I think so too. I'd be too nervous to bet on him. I just
I'm not. On him?
Yeah, oh no,
I would be very
on the Chargers. So
it might feels like a little too close for comfort sort of scenarios. Like, I think the Bills will pull it out, but maybe they're not going to win as handily as everyone would.
Okay, let me give you one more. Like, remove all the things away from it, right? You have this like potentially, and everybody's legendary quarterback, right? Who just had to play this game where he was basically a game manager, and now he's got a team that there is beat up on potential here. What do you think he's going to want to do against a defense that is like maybe the worst, second worst against the pass? But I just think that this screams Josh Allen isn't going to throw for 97 yards twice.
Okay.
You're probably
fair
right.
enough.
You're probably right. And
I
just had to throw it out there. We just got to do our due diligence. Speaking of
Gabe Davis, get right game. All right,
that guy has been missing. Eagles Seahawks. The Eagles are finally doing what we've been calling on them to do all year. They're blowing it. Their defense isn't looking good. Their offense is like, they have those 2 drives, those 2 touchdown scoring drives where it's like, oh man, this is just where they're going to turn it on. This is where it just looks like Seattle's defense can't stop them at all. And they're running into Seattle, which is not exactly the Seattle of old, on the, at home with that 12th man. I think they were without Witherspoon and without, Jamal Adams, and without Geno Smith. It just felt like this should have been an Eagles win relatively easily. And, watching them lose, it was just, it felt so good.
Jamal Adams might be like a addition by subtraction though for that team.
Yeah. I think that their defense is better without him. But I'm just so glad that they lost, but they still managed to make me lose every bet in fantasy league that I had, because I was playing against everybody that, I was playing against what's stupid Jalen Hurts. And I had DeAndre Swift. So
yeah, and he fell 1 inch before me and Sasha both bet on him to score a touchdown.
So it was just everything went wrong for me personally. It felt like the Eagles, like the one guy in the Eagles I wanted to do well couldn't, and they still the team lost and whatever, just brutal. I hate the Eagles. I hate them more than ever right now. Jalen Hurts' his pouty little whiny face and
Yeah.
just all mad. He's not celebrating any of the touchdowns. Just looks mad to be there, and then you lose. I feel like if you're an Eagles fan, you are scared right now. You do not feel good about the way that this team is looking going into the end of the year.
No, isn't it funny how like for so long when the Eagles are playing well, everyone is all like, "Oh, Jalen Hurts is so poised and intense, like an intimidating factor." And now, no, you're exactly right. He just looks pissed off, like pissy, in a mood, attitude while he's there. Same face, probably same facial expression he's having, but it just has this whole different persona when they're losing, and he looks like lifeless out there. He's not playing terrible football, but he also just like doesn't have that spark in him that I feel like we have seen in the past. And I'm not a fan of him by any means, but the Eagles, they just look defeated and they're getting beat. So they are. And this was one I didn't want to get my hopes up for. Like I went to bed at halftime because I was like, yeah, like it's kind of looking a little iffy, but it's Drew Lock. Like the Eagles will pull this one out. And it'll probably be like they'll win by like a score, and we'll just be like annoyed that the Eagles barely won this one. So I was surprised when I woke up and saw the score. But yeah, they have to be reeling. I can only imagine what it's like in Philly right now.
Yeah, the only thing that they can, they can lay their head down tonight feeling okay about is that they do finish their season, Giants, Cardinals, Giants. So,
Yeah.
You have three basically straight get right games before going into the playoffs, and so they're technically are they first in the division or second in the division right now?
Well, they're second.
So
Cowboys, right? No.
Or I thought they have the same record.
no, but they're gonna, as of now, they have the divisional or common opponent tiebreaker.
Okay, because if I look it up right now, it's listing the Cowboys ahead of the Eagles, but they have the same record. And I mean, the Cowboys have scored more points, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the Eagles beat the Cowboys, right? Yeah.
But they split. They went 1-1.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. So I mean, they don't necessarily even have the strength of the division anymore.
Yeah, but for some reason the Cardinals loss is what comes down, to it because the Cowboys did lose to the Cardinals. So if they somehow end up tied, I think the Eagles beat the Cardinals, then it comes down to the common, opponent from there.
I just also want to say one other quick fact about Jalen Hurts. He is second in the NFL in touchdowns to Josh Allen. Sure, I'm done with the Josh Allen. 33 total touchdowns. 10 of those were tush pushes.
Yeah.
23 touchdowns if you take out these 1-yard pushes and 17 turnovers. Because Josh Allen has 7, because there's all the slander about Josh Allen and his turnovers.
Yes.
23 touchdowns is 17 turnovers if you get rid of the tush push to Josh Allen's 36 and 17. And Dak Prescott has a ton more too. Jalen Hurts, I wouldn't say overrated. I still think he's hurt and dealing with something. Although every time he took off running yesterday, like
he was fine.
Pretty fine.
He was fine.
I don't know. They got big issues, big issues. And they might drop one of these games, like to the Giants.
I think that it's tough. I mean, obviously the 49ers just did it with the Seahawks, but I feel like this year more than ever, these divisional games are in such quick succession with each other. It used to be like one's in the beginning, one's at the end or whatever, but I feel like so many of these teams play like divisional opponent, somebody, then the same divisional opponent. It's basically like a home and away right away, which I don't know if I like or dislike. But I think it's very, very interesting, and it's hard to beat a team. Like, I don't know if it's harder or easier. Is it easier because they're kind of the same? Like, obviously it's just like,
it's harder,
but like, because sometimes it's like, the Giants at the beginning of the season versus the Giants at the middle of the season are two completely different teams.
I wonder if the Giants go back to Tyrod Taylor at some point before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Tommy's just got
Cutlet
brain.
The Tommy DeVito, the story about it now got posted. It was like a rumor story. Now it's on ESPN about him like raising his rates at that restaurant, not showing up. And it's like I feel like that couple. I feel like the shine is coming off of this turd a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think Tyrod Taylor, if the Giants are about winning games and trying to compete in the division,
which I kind of
the Eagles have a no play. Their secondary and their linebackers are like, they don't have anybody who's a playmaker, anybody. The Giants, like what I'm saying is like, if DeVito can't play well in that first game, I wouldn't be shocked if they let Tyrod play in the last game.
Yeah. But they kind of maybe want to lose, see what they got. Who knows? Maybe not let Tyrod die. I'm still worried about his lungs. I think all I want is the picture with Tommy DeVito and Big Dom, that big, just Italian Americans all over the country, which more than usual. Moving on to Blazel's bets. We had
Big
a gr-
winner.
big week this week, and Mike stepped it up right at the time when we put some money on the games. You know,
Yep.
you're a guy that shows up in the clutch. Those Thursday night props, I feel like you were just high stepping into the end zone off last week. You hit the Josh Kelly one, but it is hilarious. Either quarterback to throw over 400 yards, they scored 63 points. It was like, oh man,
We were
that
on
happened?
pace for a minute
Yeah.
there.
We're really close. But then those loves, your Uberlock, you're 3-0 on Uberlocks. The reverse stinky dog did hit, which saved Sarah some money, which is always which was fun.
Yeah.
But right now you're cruising back up. We're 29 and 36 and 2, which puts you at 43%. So you got 3 more weeks, and we're gonna push right to that, hopefully get to that 50% mark, maybe 52%, who knows, where we're really making some money. So Mike, take it away. Let's see what we got for week 16.
All right, so same rules as last couple weeks, where we're gonna just picking a couple bets, and we're just gonna win those. We're gonna go completely undefeated again.
You should have thought about that earlier.
This is even more exciting because I'm honing in on there's only 3 games and I'm picking multiple sides of these 3 games.
Okay.
And they're very exciting. Well, one is very exciting for me, but I'm going to go with the first one is going to be, we're going to talk about Ravens Niners because I got a lot of opinions. And again, if I'm going anywhere on the Ravens, you know that I have to feel it because I hate the Ravens. I'm taking the under 45.5 points.
Ooh. Okay.
2 good defenses. I don't think Lamar's a great quarterback. I don't think Brock Purdy's a great quarterback. I think there are a ton of weapons. I think Baltimore's fast enough and strong enough, and they're going to be able to get through and put some pressure on Purdy. They're going to be able to cover these guys. And I just think in games where he's played against really good defenses, I don't think Purdy's been that incredible. So 45.5 feels like a lot. I feel like they're going to try to, if Baltimore's going to win this game, they're going to make it slow and methodical and painful. And so 45.5, that feels like an easy under. And I'm also going to take Baltimore plus 5.5.
Ooh.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, that's another one that just, to me, it's too many points. I don't think I think this is a field goal game. Doesn't mean that I don't think Baltimore's going to win, or lose. I just don't think they're going to lose. Like, they're not going to get their asses kicked. And maybe I'm wrong. And like, if I'm wrong, I win because I don't like Baltimore. But I think that's those are easy to me. I'm going to probably take them separate. I'm probably going to put them together. So if that's what you want to do out there, that's a fun way. That's a fun way to lose 3 times. My next game I'm gonna go. I'll give you this one bet on here. I like Seahawks minus 2.5 at the Titans. Now, again, maybe this is recency bias, but to my argument, I fell asleep and didn't watch any of that game. So I'm just looking at standings. Seahawks are definitely alive and ready to go. Kenneth Walker played really well. He's been out for weeks, and their offense is clearly unlocked when he's there.
Untrue locked.
Yeah, well, now they're going to be Geno Smith, which isn't a saying. Geno's going to come back. Their defensive line's played really well. Their offensive line is holding up. I think if they can win a game like they did last night with Drew Lock, they could definitely beat a Titans team that they have nothing to play for. And I don't think Vrabel's going to be there next year. I don't know if Will Levis is actually the quarterback of the future for that team. I just think there's a ton of, it's another situation where it's a field goal. I think the Seahawks can win by at least a field goal in this game, and they have to. So they lose and they're done. So I like betting on teams that I can see winning whose backs are against the wall. Give me that. And then we're going to take a trip out to Los Angeles.
Oh.
And we are going to take Bills Chargers over 42.5.
42.5. That feels low.
Yeah, it does. And it's inside, and that means fast, speed, points, goes back to what I've always said. My thought process here that I wrote down in bold is the Bills are scoring over 30 points in this game.
Yeah, I would agree if I picture that score.
Yeah, I wrote down a final score prediction here. I have 37-10.
Oh, okay.
Which is 47 and the over. So I think that's easy. The slate of games coming up are a lot of teams that are like either the line is really, really tight and I don't have an idea on it, or it's a lot of teams that have nothing to play for. And you gotta be really careful betting on any of that because who the hell knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it gets scary.
And my Uber lock is Bills minus 10.5 at the Chargers.
Ooh, minus 10.5.
Yeah. Who I don't even know who they made the coach of the Chargers. Like it's not somebody that we've heard of. Who I don't believe who has any. It doesn't matter. They don't have the personnel. They're very injured. John Span. No, that's
the
owner.
GM. Have they not announced the new coach?
I don't know who's the new
I
coach.
definitely don't think it's going to be Kellen Moore. They're often
It's Jiff Smith. That's made up.
Give Smith.
That's not a real guy. Jiff Smith, Chargers is standing in the way of Buffalo. They are going to get smoked.
Yeah, I feel like that's not even like we got to give this guy a chance hire.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
not
look
that's
at
not
him.
a let's move who is your guys' offensive coordinator who's now the coordinator over there?
Look at
Kellen Moore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kellen Moore.
That's not a
No.
guy.
He's
Yeah.
not. They was like if they put him as interim head coach, like their offense has been a big part of their problem this year. So that would just seem to be questionable move.
You like that?
And on the Bills is interesting. What I if anybody whoever's working, if I know you guys are listening, whoever's like working on the Gift Smith campaign, maybe have like when you Google him, there's a couple bad pictures, whatever. It's age 55 and then education. It just lists a high school. So maybe like if you went to college or went anywhere else, put that or get education as like the second piece of information off of there. If he just went to high school, this guy is an NFL head coach, and I don't need the second most interesting thing about him is that he went to Pebblebrook High School in looks to be.
Oh, let me change that bet then.
Georgia.
Pebblebrook. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, they do things differently down in Georgia.
Yeah.
Friday Night Lights.
So that's
Listen,
a rough one.
It's 10.5 points. The Bills, if the Bills don't win by more than 10.5 points, we're going to lose. That's the way we play all these games. We do not win close games. We kick the shit out of everybody, or we lose in horrendous fashion. So I don't know if I'm like I think I might be jinxing myself here, but it's 10.5 points. It's not 30.5 points. It's not 17.5 points. It's 10.5 points. I think that feels the Bills need it. The Bills are locked in. They're playing great. That's it. It feels like an easy pick for me.
All right, I love it. We're keeping the cards short and sweet and strong this week. Yeah, so we got the loves of Ravens 49ers under 45.5, and the Ravens plus 5.5. Seattle minus 2.5 at the Titans. Then the Chargers versus Bills over 42.5. And if you're feeling really crazy and really like Blazel's best bets, 37-10. I'm sure that'll pay out a pretty penny. Throw a dollar on that for
Yeah, I'm going to.
And then we got the Uber lock of the Bills minus 10.5. I'm loving that this week. I'm feeling good. The Thursday night game, I think it should be good. Like I think that should be kind of fun. Saints Rams. We may be able to put a little something together for you, but it's
I didn't even
Tuesday.
think of it. I didn't even do the Thursday
Palooza.
props. I don't even think they're out yet. That's why
It's too early. We're recording on Tuesday.
Actually, we
this
do
week.
have some props,
But we don't need to push it. We can
No.
we can put something together for Instagram and Twitter, so you'll be able to
I do
follow
have a
us there.
stinky dog.
Oh well, I mean, who doesn't love a good stinky dog?
We're gonna
Just
keep
waiting.
it short and sweet. It's gonna lose. This one feels really bad, but I love it.
What do we got?
Pittsburgh money line home against Cincinnati.
That is really stinky.
Yeah, well, plug your nose. Give me the Raiders on the road at Kansas City.
Whoa,
Money line.
Like what?
Yeah.
Wow.
The Raiders just scored 63 points, and they're not quitting. They're not quitting with what's his face, Pierce, as their coach. Like he's playing hard. That's going to get you 9-1. That's only 9-1 because it's only 2 teams.
I kind of like that. I honestly, Pittsburgh, I think is disgusting. I think what Mason Rudolph is not going to be their quarterback.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I think, but maybe since he doesn't know how to play for them. But it's also I keep waiting for Browning to come back down to earth. And then the Raiders, I do actually like that because I really don't believe in Kansas City right now.
Pittsburgh's at home, and like the same way McDermott's under fire, like Mike Tomlin's under fire. Like they're talking about losing his job. I don't know. I feel like he can rally the troops there. They can run the ball. And Cincinnati, I think without Joe Burrow, I think they still look in the mirror and they're like, what are we? I think the players, I understand they're getting up, but like the Bills are now coming and the Texans are getting Stroud back and the Colts won another game. And you know, now you've got the Jacksonville's in the mix. It's all these teams in the mix. And Cincinnati, when they go to bed at night, they don't have their quarterback.
Yeah.
So, and I've never really loved their head coach. And I think he's been more of a product of his players than him as a coach. And I really like Pierce. And that's the chaos of Kansas City is, you know, they only beat New England by 10.
Yeah.
New England sucks. New England's a very bad team.
New England,
Yeah.
Very bad.
New England has scored the least amount of points in the NFL. I think it's 183 or 186. And the
Wow.
Giants have scored 189. So look at us. Two horrible teams.
10-1. I would put, you know, $5, $10.
Yeah, I kind of I hate it so much, it's making me like it.
One of these is gonna hit. One of them.
What was that? What's the definition of insanity?
It's not betting every stinky dog parlay throughout the
That was it.
doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was trying to remember who said that. No. It was Einstein. It was that if you stop betting the stinky dog, it will hit.
That's right.
That's insanity. So feeling good this week. Love the stinky dog plus 934. Pittsburgh Raiders money line both. Let's make some money.
And it's Christmas. Just watch a couple of games. I'm not even making you watch the whole spread. Just 3 games. That's it.
I kind of like it. Yeah, as if I'm not watch them all anyway. But listen, Merry Christmas to both you guys. Merry Christmas to all of our listeners. We love you out there. This has been the best 31 weeks ever. This has been a tremendously fun period of time. And we're getting into the playoff time. We're going to be able to start figuring out who's playing who's going where. And, you know, you guys both are fighting for some hopeful playoff spots. You know, I think, Sarah, you have
we
one.
clinched. Thank you. We've clinched.
Is there that's got to be one of the most disappointing clinches of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whatever. You're playing playoff football and you have a very real chance of having home playoff games, which is a very scary thing to anybody that has to go play there.
Get out there and kill the Dolphins, Sarah.
I'll rally the troops. Don't worry.
Squish the fish.
Wonderful. So we love you guys as always. Follow us on Instagram at Play Your Yards Right Podcast. Follow Mike on X at Play Your Bets Right. That's where you'll be able to find all of your Thursday props. We'll have something.
Yes, I will get something up there.
Those numbers get there a little bit closer to Thursday. But have a wonderful, wonderful holiday, and we will talk to you next week.